I will hit that record button.
You hit that record.
I will. Wait a
You
minute.
did.
Let's see. I did. Yes, I did. I do. And my buttons are moving around again this week. When these dads meet world, watching Boy Meets World. We grew up on the show, now we have kids and host a podcast. We watch each episode and then share our thoughts and grades. When these dads meet world.
They want you to take the roles.
That's right, good looking people. They do want you to take the roles.
It is an even number. For a moment, I thought I was hosting, and then you start talking. I was like, wait, it's not your turn. Yes, it is your turn. I need to fix my little dialogue thing down here to say number 2.
Yes, good looking people, welcome back to Dads Meet World, where every week we take a deep dive into the world of Boy Meets World, that 90s sitcom that followed little Cory Matthews, not the pig that his best friend Sean had, as he discovers just what it means to be alive in the 1990s. I am your dad number 1 this week, Brett, joined by...
Dad number 2, a very ho pooper scooper Tyler.
Merry Christmas. We are into officially the Christmas season.
Yes.
And before we get too deep into anything, something on my shirt here. All it did was fall. There it is. Good looking people. If you're not watching on YouTube, you're missing out. Before we get too deep into anything, I just want to share with you good looking people. I went in and I touched up our shop on Threadless. And Threadless is running some of their own sales with prices on shirts and sales and stuff. Between now and, let's see, we're recording this episode on the 1st of December. So it will still air before this announcement is null and void. But between now and about a week before Christmas, they will still guarantee shipping in time for Christmas. So if you want to get some Christmas presents of some Dads Meet World swag for your friends and family, or just yourself, dadsmeetworld.threadless.com. So Tyler, how are you doing with the transition from Thanksgiving to Christmas? Smooth?
Oh boy. Well, it's never smooth, the transition from Thanksgiving to Christmas, because I have hunting on top of all that. So the first 2 weeks of after Thanksgiving is always chaotic and ridiculous, especially when we have weird weather. So hunting is weird too. So and we just got a lot of winter weather, some places more than others. And deer act funny depending upon how the weather is. So, but yeah, I got to sit in my hunting stand, and I had my sister hunting beside me, and I just kept hearing her saying, "This is so stupid. This is so stupid."
Did you bag anything this year?
We have not gotten anything yet. Everything I've seen has either been running or just too small. So we have a horn restriction. So you can't shoot anything that has to have 3 on one side, not including the little horns at the base of the skull. So, and then does, like, it needs to be at least, a hefty sized doe. I don't like shooting small does. Makes me so sad.
Yeah.
So I was watching a doe and a buck kind of hanging out together, and these tiny bucks, they're smart. They know to keep their head down so people don't notice them. So I kept looking. I'm like, show me your horns. Show me you have horns. I know you have them. Just show me them.
Lift your head up and let me see.
And that the doe that I was with is tiny, but it noticed me and was staring me down. And there's this movement that deer do to be like, are you what I think? Are you do something?
Too much
And they
cologne.
they come back. Like, anyone out there, I know that not everyone is okay with hunting, but just so you know, they have a fair chance. Just because you take a rifle into the woods does not mean that they don't stand a fair chance.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen way more deer that have either run by me, walked by me, or just simply, flown their tail towards me than I've actually had the chance to shoot at. So that's also, I'm an ethical hunter, is the way I like to look at it too.
Nice.
But Brett, how's it going for you? Have you started Christmas movies? What's going on?
Well, we haven't. I started some of the Christmas TV episodes. We haven't dove into the movies just yet. We have started the Christmas decorations. You can see in the office behind me. I put some of the lights up. I'm wearing my Festivus T-shirt right now, and we got a Christmas
Nice.
tree up. We got our stockings up. We got some other stuff up. The cats. Well, the youngest cat has never seen a Christmas tree before. So we had to go through a few different. We had to lock her in another room while we were assembling it because we have a fake tree. It's not aluminum.
I think
but we have
gotten
had
rid
it
of
for
them.
several years. We had to lock her in another room while we were assembling it because she made a beeline for it and started chewing on it. And this is a pre-lit tree, so she chews through the wires. There's going to be problems. Once it was assembled, yes,
Brad
just
Pussycat.
like it, yeah, just like in Christmas Vacation. So as soon as we got it assembled and we let her out, we had to go through a few different methods of deterrent to finally find one that would keep her away from the tree. And good looking people, if you got a cat that won't leave your Christmas tree alone, we finally landed on diluted citrus oil. Because most cats do not like the smell of citrus. So we kind of sprinkled that on the tree itself. So walked up to it, sniffed it, walked away from it. Both cats. Neither one likes it. So, yeah, got all that stuff up. We got more stuff to put up outside. I cut the inflatable turkey off of our 12-foot skeleton. So he's ready for whatever we put on for Christmas this year. And yeah, so we're transitioning well, and we're all ready for those movies to start. Yeah. Well, good-looking people, we're not here to talk about Christmas this week. We're here to talk about an episode of Boy Meets World because we already
Dun, dun,
talked
dun.
about the Christmas episode this season.
But I'm in the Christmas mood now, Brett.
I know. We'll try to add some Christmas spirit, some Christmas joy. Do I still have the sleigh bells on my soundboard here? I
hope
don't
so.
know if I do or not. Let's see. I have.
Oh, baby! If saying sure. Hello.
Your board is my favorite when it doesn't work right.
Oh, it is. It is. I don't seem to have the Christmas bells on there anymore. Maybe I'll add them in post. But anyway, we're looking at the 16th episode of season 5, Torn Between Two Lovers, Feeling Like a Fool. In this episode, Lauren travels to Philadelphia to see Cory, and Topanga tells Cory to go out with her to test his feelings. Despite Sean's warning that it's a trap, Cory agrees to go out with Lauren. Meanwhile, Eric proctors for Feeney's citizenship class. This episode was written by Matthew Nelson, directed by Jeff McCracken, originally aired February 27th, 1998. Pardon me. And currently has an IMDb rating of 8.2, which is 0.4 higher than our last episode, and has it tied for 6th place this season. So, Tyler, our last episode was a 12.11 in the Nielsen ratings. How do you think Lauren's return did?
Well, again, big time actress coming back. Consistent story throughout. I didn't think we had a previously on. We probably should have, although
Mm.
sometimes we get a previously on and sometimes it's not there. So, oh
Well,
boy.
to speak to that, this episode and the previous episode, First Girlfriends Club. No, there was a week in between. This episode and the next episode, and then there was Sean, actually ran on the same night.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's got to be at least 12. Got to do 12 again.
You're not wrong. 13.30 million
Wow.
viewed in or tuned in for this one. So yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. It's the last week of February, end of February sweeps. There we go. Yeah.
Nice.
So the return of Lauren, I guess people liked Lauren, wanted to see what they got out of her, or they tuned in to hate Lauren and see what the little homewrecker was coming back to do.
You can't
And,
hate Lauren.
Root for Team Lauren or Team Topanga. We'll see. Let's see. When we mix celebrity names together, what do we get when we get Cory and Topanga and Cory and Lauren? Corin and Topanga. It's either that or we get Tori and Lori. I like the first options better.
Me too.
So we're going to start off in our teaser where Sean is getting a heart attack from the apartness of Cory and Topanga.
Yeah.
We're in the school hallways. So yes, we're back in school. And Cory is
for a little bit.
Yeah, for a little bit. Cory has gone from fully accepting the wrongness of what he's done to minimizing his guilt. In this few moments, we see him say things like, I didn't do anything. I talked to another girl. She wrote me a letter. I can't control what someone else feels. It's like whiplash, which I can't say is not normal for a teenage individual, period. But it's kind of hard to sympathize with Cory when last week he's ready to take all the ownership, and then this week, well, granted all the ownership and start over, pretend everything didn't happen, I guess. And then this week, all of a sudden, it's, I didn't do anything. I talked to another girl. She wrote me a letter.
Mm-hmm.
I can't control what someone else feels.
It kind of feels like, Brett, like we're in the in-between of an episode.
Yeah, that space we don't normally get to see.
Right, because they've talked about in the past of like, I don't know, it's been a couple of nights since we've talked, and I don't know, I'm sure everything's fine. And like, or, towards the end of like, hey, it's been a couple of days since we've really hung out. I really miss him. We're in that awkward Cory and Topanga, are in the middle of something that's not as easy to get over as most of their tiffs.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. Yeah, but Sean says this is the most passionate love letter that didn't start with Dear Sean. So, I mean, this love letter is, Sean says this about it. Angela says it's smoking. I mean, this Lauren's, after one night of staying up all night talking and one brief kiss, Lauren is, as the parlance goes, down bad for Cory.
Now, Brett, I want to give the two characters credit on something.
All right.
And I will give credit to the show of the way they're setting this up. The suggestion is that the two of them met each other and just have this instant chemistry they can't deny. And Cory has decided, I'm moving past it. I can't think of it. I'm letting it go. And Lauren, from the letter to showing up, cannot let it go.
Yep.
And I have to say that, again, I met my wife at 18. If her and I had met a few months, a year beforehand, I get how I probably could have really immaturely acted in trying to see what could be with the two of us. Um, and I think it's just that awkward. They're almost adults, but not quite there. And the intensity in which everyone is feeling, thinking, is just so much more in this moment. So it's just this complicated mess that they're in because, yes, they're in the high school phase still,
Mm-hmm.
but they're really starting to feel things that's much deeper, much bigger. And the conversation we'll get to later on, it's more than just the typical high school, what's your favorite color? What do you like to eat? Let's go find that color and let's go eat that food.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting this episode that we're in. I'm really excited for us to talk about the complications.
Yeah. Yeah, but I like that. I mean, it's Lauren really wants to keep pushing. Cory doesn't want to do anything more with it. But again, we also get Sean all of a sudden is going back to Cory and Topanga are supposed to be this role model for the perfect couple for the entire universe, and someday he's going to want what Cory has.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked ad nauseum about how much I don't like this idea before, and I thought Sean had moved past that. But here we are again, Sean being an adolescent who steps back again.
Okay, but also I'll give credence too. This is a tell.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, sometimes I'll use the royal we. We men, we have a tendency to say something without realizing what we're saying. Because in a way, Sean's saying what I have with Angela is not endgame. And in my soul, I know that. But I like her a lot and I desperately want it to be her. And so it's going to be interesting going through their relationship, Brett, because
Mm-hmm.
this is the first time as I was watching, I went, oh, is the writer or is Sean saying she's not really who I'm meant to be with?
Well, I also consider another perspective too, where this is the point where Sean is trying to set Cory and Topanga up for a meetup at Chubby's.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder to myself, I say to myself, Stephen, because that's, what I call myself, as Eric does. If Sean isn't just trying to butter Cory up to reaffirm his connection with Topanga as well, and going back to that, if that's, I mean, from a writing perspective, I'd be okay with that too.
Mm-hmm.
That's another angle I'd be okay with. But as I said, he's pushing Cory towards his meetup with Topanga. We see him do the same thing with Topanga, where he delineates a guy could do no better than Topanga Lawrence, and she knows that a girl could do no better than Cory Matthews, and she's the most important person in Cory's life. So I do like this is very realistic that we have gone through a couple of episodes now since Topanga found out, and she is still trying to process this hurt and not sure how she's going to move past this.
Mm-hmm.
This is very realistic for me. In 1998, that a sitcom geared towards teenagers would take multiple episodes to say, I'm still not sure. Now, granted, Saturday morning sitcom, maybe they would have done that. But primetime Friday night sitcom 1998, the push would have been to get things back to the status quo in time for next week. So, I mean, kudos to the writing staff for being willing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, it's also It's an uncomfortable episode, Brett.
It is. It is a very uncomfortable episode.
In a good way.
Yeah,
if it can
and
be.
it's supposed to be. It is supposed to be uncomfortable. We're not supposed to feel good at any point in this episode about what's going on. We're supposed to sit in the discomfort with all of these teenagers. But we get to Chubby's. Cory's very nervous. It's like a first date for him. And he's kind of wondering. Yeah, he's very excited. It's kind of cute, he's wondering what she's gonna wear.
Oh my god, she's wearing a Lauren costume.
But Lauren has sought him out. She's found him at Chubby's. I'm assuming that he told her about all his favorite hangout spots.
I just thought about that, Brett. How did she know to go there?
I wonder the same thing. Did he tell her where he likes to hang out? Did she look for him? And is this like the 4th or 5th place she went to? Did she go here first and hope that he was hoping he'd stop by after school? I don't know, but she was on a bus for 4 hours, and the best thing he can do is, what are you doing here?
I'm just gonna say it. I think she heard about Chubby so much that she's there not for Cory, but to see, is Chubby's worth it? Because I'm assuming almost every story started with, and then we were at Chubby's.
Yeah, that, and it's in the Zagat bag,
Oh gosh.
Yeah. But she came out to Philly 4 hours on a bus because Cory never answered her letter. Yeah. Yeah. Never, traded phone numbers. Just that letter was their only form of communication.
Well, I wonder if the letter had her phone number in it. So her hope was, if there's interest,
was hoping that he would. I'm sure she left some sort of phone number in there, but if he didn't call it, then she's still got no answer from him.
Yeah, I would always take that as a no answer, and that's the answer. It's a no.
Yeah. But either way, Cory does not want Topanga to show up and see them together, but too late. Even too late. Sean's protestations of
"Get out"
are not enough.
Get out.
Even calling her Toots. Toots, may I call you Toots? Sean's little quips throughout are chef's kiss.
Spot
calling
on
her Yoko, calling her Toots, may I call you Toots? Don't try to butter me up, Yoko. And he's trying really hard. But yeah, that's it. So we jump into the first act. And here's the big question. Is Topanga telling Cory to go talk to Lauren about his and her feelings a trap? Is she said, because Sean is convinced this is a trap. If Cory goes and talks and tries to explore, and
it's a trap.
But yeah, I mean, realistically, is it a trap?
Yes, it's a trap. There's no. Well, okay. The only thing I will say is, in the moment, she thought, I don't know what you want me to do, so figure out your feelings. And just the more she sat on it, the more she thought of it, the more she knew he was on another date. She went, I'm not on a reality dating game. I don't have to be in this relationship.
I have my answer, but I'm going to wait until the end of our episode to share it. That's right, good-looking people. I know how to build suspense. I can gently touch the fourth wall, too.
Nice.
The proposal. Yeah, but Sean knows the outcome. The world as we know it has ended. And so let's get in touch with some a little more lighthearted fare. Mr. Feeney needs Eric to proctor his citizenship class. Yes. And let's hear about this firsthand.
I need you to proctor.
Me? Proctor? Proctor Matthews.
You know what proctor is?
Yeah, it's a tushie doctor. Oh, well, I'm not gonna do that.
Maybe better just wash the car.
No, Mr. Feeney, no problem. What do you want me to do?
Well, you see, this is a class of people from foreign countries who want to become American citizens. All I want you to do, is pass out the pencils and tests and gather them at the end of the class. You do nothing else. Do you understand?
No.
And the very next thing we see is Eric holding up tests in the class and saying, tear them up, throw away the books, there will be no tests. And we learn one more thing Mr. Feeney is responsible for. He's teaching a United States citizenship class. This is a huge responsibility.
I think we need to make business cards for Mr. Feeney and just list all of the occupations and jobs he has.
Mr. Feeney's business card would look like this. Okay, that's not long enough. Mr. Feeney's business card would look like this at 12-point font. But yes, Eric is convinced that for the first time he is the smartest guy in the room. Let that sink in, and we meet Raju, played by Jay Herrick, first and only time that he'll show up on the show. He has 65 acting credits, including Early Edition, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Frasier, Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, Jag, Alias, 24, ER, The Young and the Restless, It's Always Sunny in Philly, New Girl, Madam Secretary, and more. To which he informs him, what was it? Nuclear physicist. In his country, he was a nuclear physicist. But everybody in America starts with a clean slate. Raju?
And as your proctologist, I'm gonna show you something.
Eric's going to show him something.
Please don't pick me.
It is one of my most favorite interactions in all of season 5, where Eric tells him, as your proctologist, I'm going to show you something. Please don't choose me. I love this B story. It is so simple, and the ending is so fantastic.
Okay, but that's the thing, is the last time Lauren was on screen, there was no Eric storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And to have one to go back to is so needed.
The A story with Lauren and Cory needs a B story to balance it out this time around. Like the Mountain Lodge, they were able to have enough going on, and they needed to have the entire episode where they could focus on that storyline. But here they need something to balance all of that drama out, all that tension out. So we're going to hop over to the Matthews kitchen, our favorite set this season, where Sean, we learned he speaks Womanese. He's conversational. He's not fluent, where you have to look for what is not there. And I'm disappointed we barely get into the skill of his. I feel like we've kind of touched upon it with Eric in the past, but we don't really get into it with Sean. I wish we kind of explored this idea a little more with him.
Yeah, but I mean, again, Sean is here for one reason: jokes. Like in the Heartbreak Cory, they tried to have Sean play a little bit of both Eric and himself in the outlandishness that he was, and they're doing it a little bit more here, but it's so ridiculous it works. But also Sean is trying to distract Cory, and that's something we'll get into as we continue forward, of Sean's ways of helping Cory deal with situations.
Yeah. But we do find out that Cory did fill in Alan and Amy. I'm glad he did by this point, since he and Topanga are on the skids. But he did fill them in on Lauren, and so let's listen in on what they have to say about the whole thing.
Lauren.
Yeah. Order me not to see her. Order me.
Cory, nobody loves Topanga as much as we do. But if you think you really like this girl, then you owe it to yourself and to Topanga and Lauren to find out.
You know, a long time ago when your mom and I were dating, she let me go out with another girl. Her name was Teresa Lulich. So I went out with her just to test my love of your mother.
I never let you go out with any Teresa Lulich. I would never do that. We wouldn't be together this very day.
Well, actually, you know, I'm mixing up a couple of stories here. Gee, what are these, peaches? Where did they go?
Cory, the rest of your life you're going to be presented with opportunities and temptations. It is how you deal with them that matters.
Okay, one. I love the choice she makes of the moment he brings up another woman to instantly allow him to talk, but she's eyes and face is making it clear of, I don't approve of what's coming out of his mouth right now. And he clearly should not be giving this advice in front of my face.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But she gives fantastic advice to Cory.
She does.
And on top of that, I wrote in all caps here in my notes, Cory should learn from what he sees in Alan and Amy in this moment about he and Topanga. This whole conversation about Teresa. If his parents would not have survived a Teresa, then he should figure out and extrapolate from that. He and Topanga are not going to survive a Lauren.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Cory, we've already determined over the last several weeks, Cory dumb.
Yeah.
He's not going to make that. He's not going to make that determination, but it's right there in front of him. But Lauren does show up. Of course, Sean calls her Yoko. Sadly, many in today's generation will not get the joke right away. But
no, that's why we have deep dives.
That's right. I was hoping you would. Alan does introduce himself to her and calls her Teresa.
Are you kidding me?
And then puts the Odies with the peaches. Alan and Amy are barely in this episode, and they nail it.
But I'd say before we move on from this scene, Amy has not changed her stance. Mm-hmm. She loves Topanga. But for the growth of her and Cory, they have to accept that there is actions and consequences for everything they do. There'll always be options. There'll always be choices. What choice will you make?
Yeah, this is Cory's choice. They can't make him do anything. Yeah. And they won't tell him to do anything. And, you know, he starts the conversation, order me not to see her. And they won't. She tells him simply, in your life, you're going to be presented with opportunities. You got to choose. I had a conversation with my own son tonight about his job. You know, if you're in your whole life here down the road, you're going to have opportunities. If you want to make money, you got to have a job. If you don't want, you know, if you want free time, you're going to have to choose not to have a job, but you're also not going to have money. You know, these are choices. You're going to be encountering choices in your life, and you have to be the one to make the choice. We can't make it for you. It is up to you, and we'll support you in your decision. Mm-hmm. But you have to be the one to make the choices.
Yep, I agree.
So, after Lauren is assured everyone, or especially Sean, that she wouldn't do anything to hurt Cory, and the womanese clears. She and Cory leave. He has a curfew, midnight, I believe, right? And they all like her, and that scares Sean.
Because Sean admits he does like her.
Yes. Yeah, and you can tell he's bothered by that. Yeah, and I mean, really, there's nothing to dislike about Lauren as a person.
Right.
I mean, she's very friendly. She's very, she gets along with everyone. I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with her. I mean, she's got a great personality. There's nothing wrong with her. She's in between Cory and Topanga right now. That's the problem.
I mean, the way she treats Will Ferrell later on in life, I don't really like that much, but she's a teenager right
now. So we're gonna go check in on Cory's date with Lauren. We go to a nice outside park set where they can control the rain.
Mm-hmm.
And we learn that Cory and Topanga have no real future together because Lauren wants a life lived outdoors. Cory very much is an inside person.
She wants a quiet life away from people.
Yeah. He wants a life lived in the suburbs with a hot tub and a white picket fence and living life as a CPA or something along those lines. Not as a teacher, but she wants to live.
He wants to be around people.
Yeah. She's Lonnie with a brain.
Oh my God.
Okay, with a brain comment's a little bit harsh because Lonnie was intelligent, but
no,
she's Lonnie toned down.
Wow, you are not wrong. She wants a simple life. She wants a family, probably a big family. I hear exactly what you're saying. She is what Cory would be interested in for Lonnie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then it starts to rain. Cory doesn't like being in the rain. Lauren loves the rain. Here you go, more evidence. Until she puts him inside her jacket, protecting him from the rain, and he wants to see if she has any film to develop while he's in there. They have a water fight. And she's very intuitive, very perceptive. She sees he's worried about something, and he's worried that he's having a good time.
Yep.
So we go to the guy's apartment, Eric, Sean, and Jack, which, by the way, if you haven't realized, there's no Jack in this episode, good-looking people.
No Jack whatsoever.
Nope. And Sean's going to help Cory decide his future with jelly beans and a scale. I've heard some fan theories about why this scale is so readily available. And the most popular one I've heard is drugs.
I had a feeling that would be the case.
Which could explain some of Eric in seasons 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, I mean,
we've made jokes about him getting into pot before when he moves into college.
Listen, here's my thing. Why is there a scale there? Because they need there to be a scale there.
Yeah,
like it's a guy's apartment. They probably just thought,
there's all kinds of weird
if we
stuff.
had this, like,
I lived in a house with 8 other guys in college for my last 2 years. We had all kinds of odd and random stuff around the house. Yeah. I have no problem believing that there's this random old scale in their apartment.
Well, I could see it being as simple as, we stole this. We got to keep it forever now.
I would even buy that whoever moved out before us left it. It was in a cupboard when we moved in.
Could also believe that too.
Yeah.
Or it was just left somewhere and they picked it up and brought it into the apartment.
Yeah, someone who was moving out, we saw it down the hallway when they left, so we go and grabbed it. We thought it looked cool. Anyway.
Yeah.
So they're going to decide. Sean has this test where he's got some very surface level questions, which, for a 17-year-old trying to help his friend determine at the most basic logical way, it works to a point. He's got who makes you laugh, who do you want to have deep conversations with, who can you be honest with, who's most honest with you, and then of course who are you most sexually attracted to. And
Wait, can we talk about this for a moment, Brett? Because this is always
yes,
bothered
please.
me.
It's bothered me too.
Considered a huge moment in the show for Cory. This is a breakthrough moment for him. This is a moment that they will go back to multiple times. Like, this is a huge thing for him, as he's processing through his love for Topanga. So much so that someday later on, another show will come around and reuse the same bit,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what bothers me is you're comparing someone you have been in, as you have stated this season, someone you've been with your whole life, and you're saying that equally you would like to talk, interact with, play with, live your life with. Like, at no point does he not go, yeah, Topanga is the obvious answer the whole time. Like, it's just like Cory is adding in points for Lauren for no reason other than this is a scene we really want to do.
Yeah. I mean, you're comparing years, over a decade to maybe 16, 17 hours of experience together. It's just, it's an unequal comparison at best. Yep. And disingenuous at worst. So it's, I understand where Sean would come up with something like this. It makes sense in Sean's world. He's trying to find a way to depict visually that Cory's out of balance, and that Topanga should clearly be throwing this scale out of balance in her favor. But in the end, it balances, even though in the one shot it's clearly not a balanced scale, and the prop master did not do his job very well. But in the end, even though Topanga's got the rah 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 and the hakata hakata, there's nothing like being inside Lauren's jacket, and Sean is shocked that his best friend could say something like that. Cory decides that there's a difference between, for whatever reason, he has the breakthrough then and there that there is a difference between attraction and love. And he throws the bag of jelly beans on Topanga's side and says there's no contest. It's Topanga. Sean's happy. Cory's happy. And we're going to check back in with Mr. Feeney's class. And Eric's doing some card tricks. What's his name? Raju is talking about Ace Ventura with the ace card. And then Mr. Feeney comes in and interrupts and says, "Do nothing." And continues, but he does it better.
Watch them take the test.
Oh, no test tore him up.
You what?
I understand what you were doing. You were testing me to see if I had initiative. You think I should be a teacher.
No, I don't. I just wanted you to pass out the test. And what has Ace Ventura got to do with the United States citizenship? Eric, for the love of God.
Mr. Feeney, if you don't mind, I'm in the middle of teaching a class, okay? Men, your turn. Come on.
I have a king.
Let me guess. King Kong. Don King. Donkey Kong King.
Okay, those were all good answers, weren't they? Except for the Donkey Kong King. But, Mr. Feeney, you can't play. You're already a citizen, okay? All right, men, you're holding the king. Category is civil rights.
have a dream that my 4 little children will live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Dr. Martin Luther King.
We get some good stuff there. We get incensed Feeney. We get sassy Feeney. We get exasperated and I give up Feeney. And we get Eric finding...
All of this made about 30 seconds.
And we get Eric has found a way to communicate and educate in such a way that this class is retaining knowledge at a fantastic level that Mr. Feeney never would have come up with on his own.
Mm-hmm.
And it's outside of the box education. And I love when shows and movies will depict education outside of a standard model. So, I mean, that's another reason that I love this B plot. But this
show does show that Eric has a way of helping people realize you have the information inside of you. You've studied, you understand it.
Every time he's a tutor, he helps them improve their grades.
Yeah. Eric's problem is not he can't help people. It's he doesn't want to do the work to get the information himself. That's his problem. He can help others. He just can't help himself.
Eric excels at helping others learn and grow. He just doesn't want to do it himself. Yes. But in this scene, the other 2 women in the class that we will hear from in this scene are Min, played by Marilyn Tokuda. It's first and only time on Boy Meets World. 43 acting credits, including Xanadu, Hill Street Blues, T.J. Hooker, with Captain Kirk himself, Magnum P.I., Friends, Seinfeld, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Jag, Frasier, Grey's Anatomy, SWAT, and more. And Svetlana, who is played by Jolie Jakunas. First and only time on Boy Meets World, only 12 acting credits on her resume, including Home Improvement, 7 Days, Sports Night, and more. She has not been on camera since 1998. But Svetlana speaks up, and she really shows Mr. Feeney. She explains that Eric's taught the class that America as a melting pot by using this cards in a deck as an analogy. You know, some are red, some are black, some are kings and queens, some are aces and 2s, but they all are important to the integrity of the deck. And in this process, he's been able to use these to tie into other things that are important on the citizenship test. I'm assuming important on the citizenship test. I've never had to take the citizenship test formally, so I'm pretty sure Ace Ventura wasn't on there. I'm assuming that was just a fun throwaway gimme for fun. But I'm assuming the rest of what was in the deck he was pulling from. But yeah. So we'll go check out Cory and Topanga's reunion date at Chubby's, where Cory's excited to tell Topanga about his date with Lauren, maybe a little too excited. And he felt like if he liked another girl, it diminished his love for Topanga. Which makes sense. It does. And like I said, he finally had the realization that there is a difference between love and attraction, and that attraction to someone does not mean all of a sudden your love for someone else has disappeared or been damaged or hindered. That the two are not interconnected to the point that one will damage the other. That's not to say that if you love someone, go out and willy-nilly look for attraction to anyone else. Good-looking people don't do it. But he shares that I didn't know this before, but now I do. It's actually shown me that, yeah, I love you, and that's never going to change. This showed me that all it was this attraction, basically. And I'm paraphrasing probably better than he would have ever explained it in that moment, because he definitely didn't explain well.
No.
But he does. He uses this line of "Put me inside your jacket because I only want to be inside your jacket." And Topanga's upset that Cory hit on her. And it's always bugged me, this line. Not that the writers felt the need to put in there that Topanga's bothered by always being hit on by guys, because that it really does diminish her. But the fact that that's all we get out of that. She doesn't go on to explain that you're my boyfriend and you're supposed to see me as more than just a physical object. No, we just get, do you know how many guys hit on me? And then she goes off in a completely different direction. When I first saw this episode, I thought that was the reason she gave up on him.
Mm-hmm.
The very first time. It took me a couple of viewings to finally get around to the actual reason behind it. But that line is just such a throwaway line. I mean, it's not a wrong observation on her part, but it's just such a throwaway. It gets in the way.
Mm-hmm.
But here's go ahead.
I guess I guess this is the part of that thing about that makes this episode complicated. Is I do see her saying, basically, you had a girl hitting on you, and you allowed her to, talk you into something and potentially take away our relationship. Like, this one girl is able to do that to you. Would you have done this with any other girl? Like, would you have allowed another, like, this wasn't her. What if another girlfriend from the past, if they had sweet talked you, would you have fallen this easy? Like, how easy was it that you just threw away our relationship? If they had explained it like that, I could see that. But yeah, just the comment of, do you have any idea how many guys hit on me? Indicating that a bunch of guys are always hitting on her, which we've never seen that. But also, this is from Cory's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we don't always get to see that guys are hoping that Cory and Topanga will break up and throw out there to her, hey, if you and Cory ever break up, give me a chance.
Yeah, like I remember back in Hair Today, Goon Tomorrow, where, we've got the guy that has the business card for his locker. But beyond that, we don't get to see a whole lot of other guys that are trying to move in on their turf.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it might have been healthy for them to have an actual episode of a bunch of guys hitting on her and Cory being bothered by that, but that's not what we get.
Exactly.
But I think what has always bothered me about this moment, Brett, is she says, I've never needed to test my feelings for you. I moved away from my parents in Pittsburgh to be close to you. Ever since we were little, I felt like I belonged with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I would have given you everything. And it's like, that's a lot to just throw at him right now. We have seen you have to test your feelings for him. Like, you're putting on rose-colored glasses on your relationship. And yes, you did run away from your parents to come here, but you're also going back to your hometown, to your community. Like,
you're going back.
It is more than just your boyfriend there.
Yeah.
See, Topanga was wronged. Topanga was wronged. Topanga was wronged. I want to make sure it's clear. Topanga's in the wrong, and to make sure my wife hears me, Cory does not deserve her. But when you're wronged, it's really easy to go, I did everything right, and look what you've done.
Yeah.
And she says, that was not good.
So, here's my answer to whether or not it's a trap. Yes and no, but mostly no. I don't think it was deliberately a trap. I think Topanga set up the proposition knowing her response would be based upon how Cory responded to her offer. if Cory said, I don't need to test my feelings, the Topanga would know, okay, fine, we can work this out. But if Cory said, all right, fine, I'll take this time and work it through, then Topanga knows that it's over. So, so yes and no. It's not necessary. It's not set up to be a trap. In and of itself, it does become a trap. It's a trap. But it's not intended to be one. But,
I agree with that. I wanted to play it one more time.
Yes. I mean,
you'll have to throw in the actual good sounding quality.
It's a trap. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Good looking people. God. Imagine a big squid headed alien.
Sheldon's "It's a trap" works out so much better too.
I've been practicing my impressions.
It's a trap.
Yes.
Yeah, I do agree with you, and that's kind of how I've always felt, and I think the way you phrase it has helped indicate that. No, she didn't want to trap him really, but based on his reaction, it told her everything.
Yeah. And she can forgive everything up to this point, but she can't forgive that he needed to test his feelings for her.
Yeah.
And that's where we end their relationship there. It's done. And Sean comes down and wonders if everything's okay. And Cory says, no, it's not. And then
this is the definitive second time they've broken up, Brett.
Yes.
I don't want to hear the garbage of, they've broken up more than 2 times at this point. This is the second breakup.
Yes. First time at a dance, second time here. And then the tag, we get to see Mr. Feeney's citizenship class take their citizenship vows before a judge and officially gain their citizenship status. And Mr. Feeney and Eric are standing by the side, and Eric is just in awe at the feeling of being able to observe them gaining this step because of and his involvement in it and what he was able to do to help contribute to their step. And just he never knew what it was like to be a teacher, and now he gets it. He gets why Mr. Feeney does what he does. And I it's the perfect button for that storyline. It's probably completely unrealistic that they would do the actual service in the classroom of John Adams High and the judge would come down there. They probably got to go to his chambers to do that. But I love this button. It's perfect.
Brett, they don't have the budget for another set. Are you crazy?
Well, like I said, it's hyper realism, but you hear what I say. I love this button.
Oh my gosh, they totally would have just redressed. They would have redressed
Chubbies.
Why not? Why not have a ceremony for people becoming citizens at
They put the stage up. They put up a couple of columns. There we go.
Chubbies is whatever they need it to be.
It's the school get a library set. It's the ultimate swing set. Yeah. Yeah. And that is our episode. So, Tyler, do you have any deep dives for us?
People. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
So let's just start with one simple and quick one. A proctologist is a surgeon who specializes in diagnosing and treating disorders of the lower digestive tract.
The tushie.
Yes, which includes the colon, the rectum, and anus. Yeah. And I love that all of the people at the citizens test are all like, yes, we know what that is. Stay away.
Oh, yes, I'm slow.
Please don't pick me.
All right, so let's start with something interesting, Brett. Because I would like to look at the weather from Philadelphia in February. in 1989.
Oh, yes, because
There was
Sean
a
did say it
s-
was raining all week.
Uh-huh. Now, if we are taking at face value that this is like a few days, a week, or maybe even 2 weeks after of what's that thing called? Valentine's Day, Brett.
Mm-hmm.
From February 17th through the 20th, span about 5 days, there was rain. There was precipitation each of those days. Not snow, rain. There was then 2 days without, and then there was 2 days with. So,
Interesting.
you know, if we're to take at face value that Sean said there's been 7 days of rain, why do you think that is? You know, we have 7 days technically, but it's not 7 days consistently. It's 7 days with 2 days in between. So, um, if it was still cloudy at that time, I could see that being the case. Um, I will say from the 28th of February through the 3rd, there's more rain. And then the 7th through the 9th of March, there's rain. Yeah, but there's no stretch of 7 days of rain. Clearly, that's just a way of making it a writer thing of, hey, since the last time the audience saw us, it's been raining.
That's right. Yeah,
Yes.
well.
But I do love how we go from clearly winter to it's kind of cold last week to hey, it's like raining here, whatever.
Yeah.
Good looking people, if you're not from Pennsylvania, I don't care where you're in Pennsylvania, you're wearing a coat, a winter coat in February.
Like what Cory wore in stormy weather.
Yeah, it's like the one time it was accurate.
One of the few times they were accurate in a Philly winter.
Yeah. Well, this might be a little fun. Brett, I'm going to give you some questions that's on a potential questions that are on a citizens test.
Oh, okay.
Let's see what you got.
Let's see how well I do.
Yes. What is the supreme law of the land?
A supreme law or the supreme law?
No, the supreme law.
Well, contextually, I don't know. Thou shalt not kill. I don't know.
The Constitution, Brett.
Oh, okay. I was thinking way too narrow there. Okay, yeah.
All right. All right. You have missed one, Brett. I'm sorry. You might not be able to become a citizen.
I might not be able to stay in the country.
What is can you it says one, but can you list as many rights on the First Amendment that we have, Brett?
The right to swift and speedy trial, the right to freedom
No,
of
First
speech.
Amendment.
The First Amendment. Oh,
Yes.
Freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of to protest. First. That's all I can remember from the first.
You're missing a big one.
From the first. Speech, assembly. What am I missing?
We got freedom of speech, freedom of religion.
Yeah. Okay. I always forget that one's in the first.
Assembly, press, and a petition of the government or protest. Yeah. All right, Brett. How many amendments does the Constitution have? I would not know this right off the top of my head either.
I want to say, shoot, I've got 3 numbers floating in my head.
Just throw them all out there. Maybe we'll get one.
28.
Ooh, close.
32.
Not close.
29.
We're getting further away.
26.
27.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty close with that 28.
Yep, that's fair.
Well, every day I hear they're considering adding one more, so 28, sure.
Oh yeah, well, that's really true. What are the two parts of the U.S. Congress?
Oh, you mean the Senate and the House of Representatives?
Very good, Brett.
Hey, I got one right. Well, technically, I got 2 right, so I'm 50% now.
If the president can no longer serve, who becomes president?
The vice president.
Very good. Let's go with one more. Let's see if we can find a fun one. I don't think we will. Oh, let's do this one. Who is the governor of your state now?
Now, that would be, what's his face? Yeah. All I can see is Voinovich, and he hasn't been governor in Ohio for like a decade. Oh, man. Okay, give me a second here. Oh, man. Oh, man, I can see his wife's name too. DeWine. Mike DeWine. Oh, good grief. Oh, man, I remembered by remembering his wife's name. All I could see was Voinovich. He hasn't been a governor since I was like in my 20s. Yes, Mike DeWine.
Oh, okay. I thought, this will be a simple.
That's such a layup too.
About it before.
Such a layup.
Okay. Okay, Brett, I think you'll know this one, and if you don't, we'll just cut it, okay? We'll cut the whole thing.
Okay. We might cut it anyway.
Okay. What is one responsibility that is only for a United States citizen?
A responsibility that's only for United States citizens. Voting. Or jury duty.
Yes, both. It says list one, so the two options are serve on jury and vote.
Yeah, there we go.
Yay, Brett! You can become
I'm a citizen. Woohoo! Do I have any celebration music in here? I got this.
Well, fun
Today,
fact.
I become.
Did you know, Brett, that at every U.S. citizen's celebration ceremony, they'll play "God Bless the USA"?
I did not.
Yep, every single time.
Wow.
What's his face?
Good old
John
man
Oliver did a
England.
whole thing about it when he became a United States citizen. He's sitting there like, why the frick are we listening to this song?
I think I remember that now.
Mm.
I think I remember seeing him do that special. Yeah.
So, Brett, this episode reminded me of a hot trend going down as last couple years, and it's called a loyalty test. Have you ever heard of this, Brett?
No, I've heard of loyalty tests, but I don't know if I heard of the one you're talking about.
Well, what have you heard?
Oh, I just of the concept of a loyalty test, but go ahead and tell me which one you're talking about.
So essentially, it can be as simple as, say, a young lady that a gentleman does not know will DM them and we'll just flirt with them, saying something like, "Hey, I think you're really cute." And if the guy responds back and sends flirty text messages and potentially goes into the you know
Haka,
then the
haka.
girl who is or woman who is doing the loyalty test will then send information to the partners of that guy to say, "Hey, this is what he said when you asked me to check him." So
Mhm.
there are people online who that is their main job is to do loyalty checks, and then we'll post about it online and make money.
Okay then.
Yeah, and there's
Huh,
also
that's cool.
yeah, and there's also stuff just about like friendship loyalty tests. Like I've heard about women who will have their have a friend of theirs wear like white, like they'll select a white dress for them to wear to the wedding. The woman will show up even though they protested, "I shouldn't be wearing this," and the bride goes, "No, you're fine." They show up and they're like, "I can't believe you wore white." And they're like, "You're the one that put me in the dress. Like it was a test and you failed." Yeah, so that's kind of in the internet zeitgeist right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's interesting how quickly we'll move on from things, but then certain stuff like this will just kind of hold a little too long, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just it's too close to catfishing.
it's really what it is. Um, yeah. So let's talk Yoko Ono, Brett. Um,
Yes.
Yoko Ono, born February 18th, 1933 in Tokyo. Famously was a musician, listed as a multimedia artist, singer, songwriter, peace advocate. She worked as a enc- en- encompass performance art and filmmaker. Moved to New York and eventually started famously dating John Lennon from the Beatles. Then eventually married him.
Mhm.
Let's see, married John Lennon in 1969, it looks like. Yes. Yoko had two other spouses. Didn't know that.
Mm.
Guy named Tashi and another guy named Anthony Cox.
Hmm. Prior or
Interesting.
after or post John?
Before.
Hmm.
Yes. Two children. Unfortunately, no matter what she did for art and for media and representation for Asian culture, she's most known for being the person who quote unquote broke up the Beatles.
Yeah.
That she caused issues with the Beatles and between John and um what's his face, Paul McCartney, and the Beatles did not survive the two of them getting together. Blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah. I'm not a big fan of the Beatles, I'm gonna be honest. I know they're really good. I don't mind their songs. I'll bop to them, but I'm not like, this is the greatest band ever.
I'll bop to them.
Yeah, I'm bopping around like, Yellow Submarine. Sure. We all live in it. Why not? Across the Universe, that musical that their music is in, it's great. Good times. All right. Jelly beans, Brett. Jelly beans is what they use to figure out Cory's love for Topanga. Jelly beans are small, bean-shaped sugar candies with soft candy shells and thick gel interiors. The confection is primarily made of sugar and sold in a wide variety of colors According to one common story, they existed as early as 1861 when a Boston confectioner, maybe, William Straft urged people to buy them as a gift for soldiers in the American Civil War. A more definitive reference appears in food testing record of the United States Department of Agriculture, published in 1887. Most historians contain that jelly beans were first associated with celebration of Easter in the United States sometime in the 1930s due to their egg-like shape. And of course, probably the most famous jelly beans are from Jelly Bellies.
Oh, yes.
It's kind of like tissues. We'll say, hand me a Kleenex.
Yeah.
And Brett, I think this is a good one to end on. We could talk about who is Donkey Kong, but everyone knows who Donkey Kong is. They could talk about who's King Kong, but everyone knows who King Kong is. Brett, the thing that we need to educate people on is who is Ace Ventura Pet Detective. Ace Ventura Pet Detective stars Jim Carrey. It came out in 1994. Let me finish telling the people. Is about the Miami Dolphins having a dolphin mascot that goes missing, and Jim Carrey, who's the pet detective, is on the case to try to figure out where did this dolphin go. Also stars Courtney Cox, and also Dan Marino.
Yeah.
That's a personal question, Dan. It's none of your business. Yeah, it's so Jim Carrey, who is not yet a movie star, stars in this movie.
Not a household name yet.
And he's also in this same year The Mask, which is a cult classic, I would say. It didn't do great in the box office, but a lot of people knew who he was through that. But more importantly, Brett, probably outside of Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber is probably his also biggest one that was out that year. So 3 big comedies came out starring this man that no movies ever had before. So out of nowhere, Jim Carrey, even though he'd been working in as a comedian and doing a bunch of work in TV shows and a bunch of small parts and little bits, all of a sudden became one of the biggest names in Hollywood, seemingly throughout this year.
Yep.
So, and then the next year came when Nature Calls, the Pet Detective second. So, I appreciate them bringing up this because it's important.
It is. The first one was better, though.
Well, of course. But lastly, it had a budget of $15 million, which you could never make a movie on that today as a studio project, and brought in 107,000 million. Sorry, 107 million. So, I think that's all the deep dives I got, Brett.
All right. Well, in that case, let's talk about what we learned.
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
Yes, you do have to draw me a picture. Tyler, what did you learn from Mr. Feeney, Mr. Matthews, or other Mr. Matthews?
I'm assuming what you learned is coming from the main situation at hand, the A plot.
You should never assume.
Okay, because I'll throw out one for that, but the first one I want to say is be careful how often you use things as a teaching tool because eventually everyone assumes everything you do is a teaching moment. When Fee was just asking, do this one simple thing for me. I know you can do this one simple small thing. And Eric assumes
You
it's
want
a
me to be a
life
teacher.
lesson. Yeah, you want me to be a teacher.
No, I don't.
I think Eric would make an excellent teacher.
I think so too.
So that's my lesson. Be careful how many life lessons you give out, because eventually everything is a life lesson.
Yeah, mine comes from Feeney and Eric's subplot as well. It's okay to think outside the box when teaching. People learn in different ways.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then I'll throw out another what I learned, Brett. I'll learn what I learned from Alan Matthews. Be careful what advice you're trying to give and what stories you're going to tell, because someone is going to be there to check you if it is not accurate.
Mm-hmm.
As
Good
you
lesson.
should be.
As you should. Well,
I'm right?
No, you're exactly right.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
Tyler, how would you grade Torn Between Two Lovers, Feeling Like a Fool? And I say it that way because feeling like a fool is in parentheses.
You know, there are things that bother me about this episode, but it's not the show right now in this episode that bothers me. It's what happens after the fact. It's the way people react to it. It's the way that people have over time felt about these moments.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm purposefully not applying that to my grade for this episode. I am solely going based on, as a dad, how did I feel about this episode? How have I always felt about this episode? And it's again one of those times that I'm trying to find fault in the episode. That's not a nitpick. That's not a over time, this is a problem, yada yada. And I have to give this episode an A+. This is a solid episode of television that this show is not going to hit the heights of this moment. They're going to try to. They're going to try to redo some of these things later on, Brett. It's not going to land like they want it to. And so I have to give this episode an A+.
Mm-hmm.
They got some bonus stuff, so they bumped it up from a regular A.
There are some things that I struggle with in the episode. But it, some of it's hard to tell for me whether it's me reading into it or me just being a dad. But it's still, I mean, it's an A episode, and so I have to figure out where it falls on that scale.
Mhm.
The biggest issue I have is with the whole bean counting scene. And honestly, that takes it out of being A+ consideration, just because of how it plays out. That there's nothing in any of the episode that points out in any way that this is not a great idea, and that you're really limiting this relationship to 4 areas, and one of them is just rah 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 hakada hakada and it's just I know that's how teenage boys think. I do. I've worked with them. I was one. Yeah. But they have parents in this episode as a resource. They have Feeney in this episode as a potential resource.
They have Chubby, man.
They have parents who know of the date with Lauren as a potential resource. They give great advice. So I give it an A.
Solid.
Yeah. Solid episode. Just a couple of things that keep it from being an A+ for me.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, Brett.
No, not at all. All right. So before we move on, I've got a couple of Christmas-themed jokes for you.
Ooh, hit me.
Where does Santa get his suit?
The North Pole.
From inside the chimney.
Very nice.
How does Christmas Day end?
Same way every day ends.
With the letter Y.
Very nice.
And one bonus for you. What goes oh, oh, oh?
O'Reilly's.
No, it's Santa walking backwards. Yes. So,
Yes,
good
great.
looking people. Thank you for joining us. Like I said at the beginning, check out dadsmeetworld.threadless.com, and you can send us messages or questions or thoughts or disagreements with our grading structure at dadsmeetworld@gmail.com or across our social media channels at dadsmeetworld, at dadsmeetworld, across Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter/X. And hopefully you've been enjoying checking out our stories and our images that we post up there, because we like to think that they're fun for you. So, until next time, I'll see you, good looking.
Back to you, good looking.
You know, how can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid?
Read the Bible.
I want to be normal, Spud. Topanga.
We are the Timmers.
This is good TV.
Dads Meet World is a production of Head First Studios. Head First Studios. Tell your story.
Oh, ow, wow, ow, ow, ow. Here. Ow. This cat needs his nails clipped. All right.